Hello and welcome to Toby's Sideshow of Scale Styrene. I'm trying something new. It's the Screencast-o-matic by Google. This is the free version. I'm testing it out to see how well it works. The main reason I'm looking at it is because I'm basically videotaping scale models and they don't move, so I don't see a reason to put things on a turntable when I can probably get better shots of it, better still shots, and then form it into a slideshow and talk more about it. This will also help me when I'm beginning a build and showing it from start to finish and talking about different problems I had while building the model. My test model is something that was already completely built. It's one of the Born Losers that was made by Parks. The only three models that Parks ever made was the Castro, the Hitler, and the Napoleon. These were released way back in 1961. Back when they were first released, I ended up getting the Napoleon figure, could never find the Hitler or the Castro. And it was mainly because apparent outrage that the figures kind of bombed and just got pulled off the shelves. They were later reissued by Ram Hobbies in 1989. There's dispute on if these were released in or made in the United States or if they were made in Mexico. In any case, there are some problems with the reissued, and the ones I have is a reissued one. The only one I have is the Born Loser Hitler. This is my take on it. I got this as a bagged kit. It was missing, it was a mess. Basically, the figure came with 2 left boots and no right boot, something like that, so I had to make some major changes to get 2 feet. Otherwise, it went together pretty well. It came straight out of the box, lots of flash, or I should say straight out of the bag with lots of flash. I did not paint it according to the old box art. I gave him a field gray jacket and gray pants because this is Hitler in the end of the war years, and Hitler stopped wearing the brown suits when they invaded Poland. You can have him with his hat on or with his hat off. I usually leave the hat off because the hat is big and kind of funny, but it's nice. But I just like it better with the hat off. The pistol is a Luger. He actually shot himself with a PPK. Beside the point, I ended up giving the handle the grips on the Luger are white, like the PPK that he used to kill himself. And the pistol is painted in chrome silver paint and then outlined in black paint. The PPK that he shot was supposedly chrome plated also, or silver plated rather. I gave him a pink sock on his left foot. The boot had to be constructed completely from scratch. This is using strip styrene and everything, and then I used the foot for that left foot and stuck it in there and covered it with white putty and made a sock and then painted the sock pink. I thought it would be nice to have him with a pink sock. The other boot, I fixed the toes on the other boot and closed it up so there's not toes sticking out on both boots. That's the way the model shows originally, is he has both boots ripped open and toes sticking out. I didn't like it that way, so I changed the one boot. You notice his pants are all patched and all sorts of other stuff. And if you notice, his right foot is sitting on top of a bunker, and I painted the bunker in the ambush pattern used on German panzers late in the war. The ground cover is the gray portion is all stone and rubble. And then the tan portion is the sand and such. And in the background there you see some bricks from the fallen wall behind him. The all of the born losers have some kind of marker on there that it describes the figure in question. In this case, Adolf Hitler, the world's worst loser, is on his tombstone. The tombstone was done in dark gray, then light gray, then covered with buff and other colors, and then the lettering on it is done in a dark gray, and that was done with a dry brushing. You see his face here with him chewing on something. That's a piece of carpet. That'll be explained in a little bit. And I gave him his blue eyes. The eyes were done in a medium blue, which was kind of dark, and then basically I washed them with a light coat of white, and it gave a nice color that I was kind of happy with. His hair is actually silver and black paint mixed together for the base coat, which was turned into kind of a grayish color, and then I covered that with black and brown dry brushing to give everything different shades and everything. So depending on how the light hits it, his hair looks either gray or brown. And looking at pictures of him late in the war, he did have brown hair still, even though he was in his 50s and even though he was totally nuts. And this explains a little bit about what he's chewing on, which is a piece of carpet. Hitler was supposed to be a Teppichfresser, which is roughly translates to carpet eater. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it basically says that he would lose control of himself and completely hurling himself to the floor and chewing on the edge of the carpet, hence the term carpet eater. Actually, what it means is that he would pace incessantly to the point of ruining a carpet. But in any case, propaganda during the war had it that Hitler would actually chew on carpeting. Here's the backside of him. It's kind of interesting with the hole in the pants, and then you have a Panzer IV that's underneath him. The Panzer IV is done in buff, khaki, red-brown that I just mixed together, and then olive drab. In the background there, you see the loser grabber. This comes with all of the born loser figures, and it's basically a hand that's reaching up out of the morass in the ground, and it's supposed to be grabbing the person, the loser. In this case, it's giving a Hitler salute. Another view of it from the other side. The loser grabber was actually painted a dark green, followed by a wash of medium greens and lighter greens, and then I started going over it with buff colors and whites and flesh and everything else, and then several washes of a medium green as well as black washes, and then more dry brushing with flesh and white to give it a variety of different colors and everything, and just make it kind of look nasty and disgusting. And if you notice, the ground that it's reaching out of is just like a green swampy area. And you also notice that I have hung his hat on the back wall behind him. And the Messerschmitt, I didn't even know I had all the parts of it. I just started looking and figured it kind of put it together. I did not have instructions with it, but it seems that it all went together, and it is done in a medium green and a dark gray camouflage, and then a very pale gray on the side with green dots, and then a yellow tail in front. And the swastikas were just all hand painted. I wasn't worried about how crudely they looked, considering we're talking about a kind of a toy model, and that's also why I just painted a big Nazi cross on top of the tank. And you see here the fallen wall behind the Messerschmitt also. That's done in brick red, and then it was washed in khaki and also in black. And a close-up of the face. And notice the little brown dots on his head. That's the stubble from his really bad haircuts that he used to get. And a view from the top. And a final view of the whole thing with the hat sitting up in front. I really did enjoy making the model, but there were significant problems with it, mainly with fit problems. The translucent white plastic, there's actually some portions of it that where it was so thin that holes actually formed, and I had to fill it in with putty and such, and just a tremendous amount of flash. Plus, having the wrong boot did not really help matters much either. But in the end, I'm very satisfied with the finished work, and I'm glad I have one. They're very hard to come by these days, and they are kind of expensive when you do come by one. I was lucky to get this one at a reasonable price, but the going prices seem to be in the $50 to $100 range now, and that's kind of steep. I don't know if I would go that high. Thanks for visiting, and if you liked what you saw, please subscribe, and also give me some feedback on what you saw and what you think of the Screencast-o-matic. I'm really interested to know if it works or doesn't work. Thanks for everything.